To the game, recapping the UVA win. It was an awesome win on the road, to play three straight road games and win back-to-back ones. I thought we really played complementary football in this game. The offense got us off to a lead. The defense stopped the run, forced 4 turnovers. Special teams, I thought we punted the ball really well. We blocked the punt. Thayer had a nice return. Scoring on defense at a time where we needed some momentum with the Leams play, and I think we were very efficient in the run game. Definitely had some great runs after contact, combined between Ricky and Bam. We had 91 yards after contact in that game at the running back position. I was proud of those guys. It was a big point of emphasis. And the receivers made some tough contact catches against tight coverage, and Devin put the ball in some good spots on some critical areas at third down. From an offensive standpoint, the positives, we didn't give up a sack against a very good front, a multiple defense that does a lot of things. Rushed for 4.5 yards a carry, no fumbles. I thought Emeka made some really nice catches. Carey had a nice touchdown. Thayer and Porter both made big plays for us in the pass game. I thought Devin was really good early. I think in the second half, it was wet and it was a tighter game, and we had some throws he could have made and he'll learn from. But he did some good things, and there's some things to learn from in this game. It was obviously a defense that gives you a lot to look at. And so for Devin, I think that's an experience thing. The more that he gets to see those things change on game day, the better he's going to be. He's very proud of our backs and their ability to get yards after contact. It's not always pretty running the ball against a loaded box. And those guys had a lot of attitude runs. And I think that feeds our offensive line and our tight end group to play hard for them. The negatives on offense, we were poor on third down throughout the game. Both of our opening drives in the first and third quarters, we were 3 and out. And we had 3 penalties on offense to open the second half on each of those 3 possessions. We started on 1st and 10 with a penalty. And so we beat ourselves, and it put us behind the chains, and it's hard to play football that way in the ACC. On defense, positives, we stopped the run. I thought their tailback was a really good player coming into the game. I thought our defensive line really battled. The linebackers fit the ball well. We tackled well. We forced 4 turnovers. We played really well on third down. I thought Tony did a nice job mixing coverage and pressure and not making the defense predictable. I thought the goal line stand, another second time here this season to have a goal line stand was awesome to see. The kids played 100 snaps on defense, and so they played a lot of football in that game. We were able to play a lot of players. Everybody we brought on the trip that was healthy was able to get in the game almost. And, the best part was we scored. There's nothing like a big man touchdown. It was fun for the team and for Aleem to get that opportunity. I was happy for him. Negatives on defense, we're young in the secondary, especially when Tanner went out. And so there's just pictures that happen, formations. There's information the offense gives you by formation that we got to be better communicating. It didn't cost us. There weren't any busts or anything like that, but you can anticipate things. And that's an experience factor that we're missing right now. The defensive offsides penalties were critical errors in the game and obviously an area that we need to improve and we'll work hard on this week. The score before the half on defense, we had a post coverage called. There should have been a guy right in the middle of the field and true freshman, again, doesn't do his job right there, and he'll learn from that. I thought at times we were out there a lot in the second half and you could see us getting sloppy in our technique at times, particularly in coverage. We just got to play tighter coverage when we're in man-to-man, and when we do that, we're very effective. I thought our special teams, for the most part, were really good. I think Chris Dunn definitely deserves a mulligan, but missed a long field goal. It was a high snap, and then, had a miss later in the game, which is uncharacteristic, and I know he'll bounce back from that. I thought Trent Gill was fantastic in this game, our punter, holder, and kickoff. All his kickoffs where we wanted him to be, great distance and hang. He had 2 pooches inside the 10, 1 inside the 5. I thought Thayer had 2 good returns. I thought Levi's block punt was a great play. He did a really good job communicating with Coach Goebel on the sideline previous to that play about how they were protecting and that he could beat his guy. And so I was really happy for him using technique. Should have been a scoop and score opportunity that we didn't get, but we got the ball there. But I love blocking punts. I thought that was awesome. And the fake punt was probably the most disappointing part of the special teams. We actually repped that play in practice. We aligned properly and defended it, and just didn't in the game. So area we got to get better. But I love the way our guys are buying into their preparation and practicing with an edge. They're seeing that their investment does give them results. And 2 weeks in a row, something we can build on that way. And now move on to crosstown game here with Duke, game that's been played since 1924. And only my second time in 8 years getting to play against Duke, and first time playing them in Carter-Finley. I know they'll be very well coached. I know they've had a tough go of it with turnovers, but they are a really talented group on the defensive line, a really good football coaching staff, and I know their kids are smart and they're tough, and they will play really hard against us. Just looking at them overall, like I mentioned, they've turned the ball over 19 times, and you can't win doing that. I know that'll be an area that they work really hard on. Their quarterback's a Clemson transfer, as you guys know. You know, their running backs really stand out to me. They're tough kids. They run hard. They're downhill. They don't get tackled on first contact very often. Their receivers have good size. And a 6'5" receiver in Bobo, and the tight end's their leading receiver. And so, you know, nothing we haven't seen as far as what they do. They're a spread, no huddle, pistol offense, and all the elements that you see from spread. You know, for us, it's going to be about getting better, continuing to work hard on stopping the run, on being sound, playing hard, playing, 11-man defense. You look at them on defense, I mentioned this already, but just turning the tape on, 51 and 96 jump off the film on their defensive line. They're very impressive. They're very well coached up front. They're disruptive. But you take those two ends and together, they've got 10 TFLs and 9 sacks between the two of them. They're powerful guys. Their Mike linebacker makes a lot of plays. They're not a overly complicated group. They play really hard. They line up where they're supposed to. They have good eye discipline and coverage. They've got 18 sacks and 32 TFLs in their game, so they can cause some problems. They've been put in a lot of tough situations defensively because of their turnovers, and so obviously that's made their statistics a little skewed. But they do jump off the tape D-line wise. For us, it's just a chance here to finally come home and try to get in a little bit of a routine, playing home games, and look forward to that. And we will have Tyler Baker-Williams back this week, so it's nice to add someone to the secondary. It's been a group that's been losing players, and so we're excited that he's back with us. And other than that, questions?
Aaron Beard, what do you have?
Hey, Dave. You mentioned the idea of guys getting return on their investments, of seeing success. And I was curious how much confidence, I guess, they gained from 2 wins. I mean, it sounds obvious, but considering what they went through last year to actually win games and build confidence, how much of a difference or how big of a difference can that make for this group?
Yeah. Well, in each of our 3 wins, we've won them in different ways. I think in the Wake Forest game, our offense really carried the load in that game. They played a really good football game for us. And we're able to score a bunch of points. And then you look at the Pitt game, and it was through the air. Defense stopped the run, and the offense through the air. And then you look at this game, and I felt like the defense really set the stage with the takeaways in this football game. And then our special teams plays. So, I think our guys have learned there's different ways to win games, but the one thing that's common in all 3 of our wins is that we prepared well. The one thing that was very present in our one loss is that we practiced poorly on that Tuesday. And we made that known. The guys have owned it. And I love just the team accountability that we have, where the guys are holding each other to a standard that they expect, and they're not afraid to call each other out when they're not getting what they want effort-wise, and I think that's raised our level of play.
Thanks, Dave.
Jonas.
Hey, Coach, hope all is going well. You mentioned Duke. You haven't played them that much, 20 miles up the road. I'm sure you've probably been asked this since you've been here, so forgive me if I'm asking you a repeat question, but is that a school, them being in-state, in conference, that you would like to play yearly or at least more often than you are playing them?
Well, I think, just in general, you'd like for every recruiting class to have a chance to play every team in the league. And, the way our rotation's set up currently, we play UNC, as you know, every year, and then we'll play one of the other teams every 7 years. And so I just don't think that's fair, not just because they're down the street, but you come to play in the ACC, you should play every team. I mean, it'd be great if you could play home and away against every team, particularly when you're talking about a team in the triangle. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think that you could come to NC State and never play Duke your entire career, and that's happened for multiple players. So I'm excited that we get to play them and look forward to being a part of a game that goes so far back. And, I don't know if they'll ever change our scheduling model, but I would definitely be somebody pounding on the table for them to do that.
If you guys did play them every year or more often, what would be the pros of playing a local team in the conference more often or every single year?
Well, I mean, it's a natural rivalry. I mean, you have a team that's within 30 minutes. We go in every grocery store and you see NC State, you see Duke, you see UNC. There's stuff everywhere, and yet we don't play them, So to me, it's just a natural rivalry game. It makes sense geographically to play a team that's close to you in your own league. So it's kind of a common sense deal, in my opinion.
Thanks, Coach.
Andrew Schnicker.
Dave, when I asked Aleem about the goal line stands on Saturday, he said that one of the biggest things in that for you guys has been Joshua Harris clogging up the middle. What does it mean to have a player like that you can be so confident that he's going to do his job and not allow anything up the middle? And what kind of growth have you seen from Joshua throughout this season?
Well, first, I'm really happy that Aleem has given Josh the love, because that's what it's all about, sharing that. And we're proud of Josh. Josh went through an injury last year and has worked really hard to get himself into a position where he can play. And he's found a role in our defense, and he's really taken advantage of it. He's not out there for a ton of snaps, but he's making his snaps count. And he's working really hard every day on the scout team. He goes up against Grant Gibson every snap. And so that makes him a better football player. And he'll continue to get better. And when we get into that, goal line package, you've got him and Aleem and CJ inside, and that's 1,000 pounds almost. And that's stout, and that helps keep the middle firm and allows us to make plays off the edge.
Thank you.
Brett Friedlander.
Dave, you've been high on Porter Rooks ever since he arrived in the spring. And on Saturday, he had 3 really tough catches. And actually, his best catch probably was the one that got disallowed. Could you assess his development and how much further he can still go to help this offense?
He's been a sure-handed player since he got here. And now he's making the tough catch. And he's making that consistently. And so it's really nice to have a rotation like we do between him and Thayer, where you have sure-handed guys that can run good routes and make tough catches for the quarterback. I told Porter that was the first game I've seen him play where he had a different way about him. He was a very aggressive player, I thought, in that game. And not that he's not a consistent player, but his personality came out a little bit Saturday. It was fun to see that. And I told him that I saw him grow up in that game. He had a lot of energy about him. He's usually show up, doesn't say a ton, and just plays really hard. And he had some emotion to him Saturday, and it was very obvious. So he's got a lot of good things coming his way if he just keeps working the way he is.
And then can you give us an update on Khalid Martin, how he's doing, and will we see him again this year?
Yeah, Khalid's making progress. He is gaining, all the things back that you would hope he would feeling-wise, and doing physical therapy. He probably will not play this year. He is not done for his career, to our knowledge, but it's going to take a while, it's not something, he's so out of shape now too, because he's not able to go through all the things that players go through, and we're going to take our time with it, but he is recovering and doing well. I appreciate you asking.
I'm sure that, even though he can't play the rest of the year, after what he was through, it's good seeing him,
Oh, yeah.
improving the way he is, right?
Absolutely. And he's great around the guys. He's very enthusiastic with them, very good at just encouraging his teammates. And I think, just seeing him in that light for them is good. I think it's good for our staff. I mean, you never want to see a player get carted off. I mean, it's horrible when you go through something like that, particularly in his situation, the way it was. So we're very happy and blessed that, he's able to do all the things that we were hoping he'd be able to do. It's just going to be a time period thing that, with us only having 11 games, probably not in that window.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Yep.
JB Ricks.
Hey, Coach, thanks for taking out the time. My question is, how good is it to have the momentum that you guys have going into your first game against an in-state opponent, and the difference of recruiting this week, when you're having an in-state opponent compared to other weeks throughout the season? Are there any differences at all or advantages that you can take out of playing an in-state foe for recruiting?
Yeah, I think, all the in-state games carry recruiting ties to them. I mean, there's going to be players that we go head to head with them on, and obviously beating them on the field is always something that helps you. Recruiting, as you know, is basically not happening right now in person. So we are losing out, in my opinion, on a recruiting opportunity, because this would have been a huge crowd for a home game, which is always a great recruiting tool for us with our guys. And so playing in front of 4,000 is a little bit different than playing in front of a packed house here at the Carter when it comes to the recruiting aspect of things. But postseason conversations, when kids are choosing between us and Duke or us and Wake or us and UNC, the head-to-head games always matter to what they're looking at program-wise.
And my first question was, how good is it to have the momentum that you guys have going into this game against an in-state foe?
Yeah, our guys have a lot of confidence, but they've also been humbled this year, and I think that's the biggest thing that we talk about is, 2 weeks ago, people were throwing you on the woodpile, and now they're bragging about you. And you just got to remember, you're one day away from being a hero or a zero around here. And so we've got to focus on the present and getting better and focus on the details that gave us 2 wins in a row and not get caught up in all that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who we play, it's how we play. And that's kind of the focus of this football team. The fact that it's a team that's nearby creates conversation, but the outcome is going to be based on our preparation and our practice and our execution on game day.
Thank you, Coach.
Todd Gibson.
Yeah, Coach, I think you just kind of answered it with JB's question right there. But do you talk to the guys? I had a friend say that, they're done after the Virginia Tech game. You hear that negativity, the players hear that. You, the coaching staff, kind of address that with your guys to say, hey, don't listen to that stuff. And how proud of you are the guys are you that they didn't listen to that?
Yeah, no, we definitely have to address it. I think there's a lot of people out there that get off on being negative on social media. And being a turncoat on their own team at times. And so, it's just fuel to the fire for our guys. And that's how we take it. We're going to play our butt off for our why, for our family, and for each other, and for the people that constantly support us, and the people that don't. It's the way it goes. You're not going to spend our time on them. So, we got to really look hard at ourselves and the people that love us. We don't play the game for comments on Twitter. We play the game for our families. We play the game because we want to be successful in life. We play the game because we love our brothers. We play the game because we love to compete. All that other stuff is just distraction and noise. And so we definitely address it. As you all know, every young person has a phone in their hand a lot. And so it's hard for them to ignore it, and they have to learn how to do that. And so it's a skill set that sometimes they don't learn until they get a loss on their record. And then they learn quickly that there's a lot of fickle people.
Yeah, and amazingly, 2 weeks later, you just talked about it a little bit. They're probably getting some pats on the back now. How do you address that in practice this week, Coach?
We talked about it yesterday, and really it's what I talked about with JB's question. I mean, you focus on how did you get the results? You got them by getting beat and realizing you better practice the right way to get a win, and then you did, and then you repeated it. And so you just need to continue to stay process-oriented and block the distractions and focus on the things that are giving you the results, not the things that are creating distractions.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Jonas.
Coach, you mentioned earlier you getting Tyler back this week in the secondary. In his absence, of course, you got a couple of freshmen in JPL play, and then you had Tayon Palmer plays redshirt sophomore. I don't even like using this term blessing in disguise, but was it kind of good for them to get those snaps while he was out to kind of get that experience?
Yeah, no, and I think, both of them have gotten better in his absence. And so we've created depth at that spot, depth that we didn't know about coming into the season. And really excited for both of those players. Like I told you 2 weeks ago, I thought Tayon played really well against Pitt, and JPL played really well against Virginia. And so those two guys have created depth, and they'll help us moving forward because, Tyler's going to come back. He's been gone 28 days when you add them all up with these quarantines, and he hasn't been sick. And that's the hard part of this thing with contact tracing. And so he's not going to be able to play 100 snaps. Like, we're going to have a rotation at nickel, but it's great to have him back. He was playing as good as any guy on our roster in training camp. So that's a nice thing to get him back in the lineup.
Mike Tober.
Hey, Coach, good afternoon. You guys are definitely going to have obviously more people in the stands this weekend. I know you've talked about how happy you are to be home. It won't be 90,000 like Dan Mullen wants, but how much are you looking forward to getting a few more supporters in there? And can you get a sense from your team that they're looking forward to playing in front of fans?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking that being around a fan base would be nice for our players. I think that they would love to have some real crowd noise as opposed to pumped in. But I think, with what it is, the fact that they're just getting to play in front of their families. The last game, we just had families there. Now there's going to be 4,000 some tickets. And from what I'm told, our roster will get tickets, our staff, some of our students will get tickets, which is great for them. And some of the donors that have helped us through this tough situation that we've been in. So, it's not going to be a big crowd, but it's going to be a crowd that's very loyal to these guys. And it'd be nice for them to have more than what we had at the last game, which I think, I can't remember the number, was it 400 maybe to 4,000. So we'll take that improvement.
Aaron Beard.
There we go. Dave, I know when you're playing a team every year, let's say Clemson, you have carryover from scouting from previous years and film work. You haven't played Duke in a long time. And then on top of that, Cutcliffe's calling plays. I mean, I know the offense is their offense, but it's a different play caller. How much had you guys done any homework on Duke at all before? And do you have to go back and look at anything before this season as far as with Cutcliffe calling plays?
No, we haven't. The fact that we're so far into the year, you kind of have an idea of what he's going to be. And the one thing when you don't play a team, you still watch everybody. I think that's the one thing that we don't talk about. But, in preparation, I've watched Duke on defense for the last 7 years. I've watched Duke on offense for the last 7 years. And even though Cut wasn't calling plays, maybe, I know that his hand was in it, and I know that he was very much a part of their offense. That's just who he is. And so you can study what they've done. You can look at the evolution of their offense based on who their quarterbacks are, because obviously they've had running quarterbacks. Now they have a drop back quarterback. Things have changed that way. They were an offset team. Now they're more of a pistol team. He's always jumped in empty. They're going to use tempo. They're going to be physical. They got a big tight end. So we have a good feel for what they're going to be. It's just going to come down to executing.
Rob McClam.
Coach, over the past few years, you've lost a lot of weight. David Cutcliffe is someone who had health issues at Duke. He's had heart issues. How hard is it to maintain a lower weight and to stay healthy as a head coach? And have you noticed, did Cutcliffe in any way sort of inspire you with how well he's done over the past few years?
No, I'm happy that Dave's doing well that way, though. No, I just had a no moss moment, basically, where my clothes said, if you don't lose weight, you can't wear me anymore. And so, I felt like I wasn't my best self 3 or 4 years ago. I wanted more energy. I wanted more focus. I wanted to be a better representative for my players. And so it was just something I needed to do. Is it hard? Yeah, it's hard. I like food, you know, I like to eat. And so that's hard. So you just got to have a good regimen. You got to work out. You got to learn how to cut your portions back and be consistent. But, you know, I'm human like everybody else. And unfortunately, I like some of the foods that aren't fat-free. So that makes it tough at times.
All right, I don't see any more hands raised. Does anybody have anything else? All right, thank you,
All right, y'all
Coach.
have a good one. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Coach.